don't. And it's like 1% of the population, right? 1% of the population has actually asked me, what does that mean? They're not curious people. Everyone's just trying to get on with their lives, go to sleep, wake up the next day, and do whatever it is to do the next day. And that's fine. I don't really knock people for that. But if you want to actually get ahead in the world, you cannot stop learning. That's the point, is that you cannot stop learning. You cannot stop asking questions. You know, this TV show that we love, Ted Lasso. There's a very great scene in Ted Lasso where he's playing darts. And the guy's like, I'll play you in a game of darts so that you don't bother the soccer team or whatever. Ted Lasso's a great show about soccer. Go watch it if you haven't. It's on Apple TV. Football, yes. So at the very end of the match, Ted's, this is a close game or whatever. And he goes on this monologue. And he basically says, like, people have underestimated me because they never asked questions. They're judgmental. They don't ask questions. He's like, if they did ask questions, they would have asked me before they challenged me to a game of darts. Hey, Ted, do you play darts? Like, that scene is Bitcoin. To me, that scene was Bitcoin. To me, that scene was, you could totally have avoided this humiliating defeat that you're about to experience in this bar in front of your ex-wife and this American college football coach who's coaching your former soccer team. You could have avoided all of this embarrassment if you had just asked one question. But that's not the case here. It's if you've asked 100 questions. No, it's not, because you have to ask one question, and that one question will lead you to other questions. But if you don't ask the first question, you're never going to get the other answers. And I'm not talking about people who don't ask that first question. I'm talking about people who have asked a lot of those questions and they think that they're safe for a second, and then they find out they're not. And I'll give you the last word on this because I think we're both saying similar things. You're just taking it a step further, but I still go back to my perspective, and I would hope some of our listeners' perspectives who are, my partner is really into Bitcoin. We put our money into Bitcoin, and it was sold to me as something that's safer, easier to secure, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. And it is not that simple. It is much more complicated than that. And I might not be paying attention enough to really see how complicated it actually is. But they don't really acknowledge to me, maybe they almost got scammed, or they did get scammed one time, but it was just $10. That's what I'm saying. And I hope you could agree with that for the perspective that I'm bringing to this. I see where you're coming from. I acknowledge where you're coming from. It's like we're in therapy. But I do not think that this is difficult. I think if people want to understand this, they can understand it. It requires the ability and the desire to want to learn something new. And I feel like people just don't have that. I truly feel that. I feel like people do not want to learn about something new because it's hard. And people don't like hard things. And when it comes to learning stuff, I like learning hard things. I really do. I like the fact that I understand what a bunch of, they're not even theoretical physics because they're proving themselves now, but like a bunch of plasma physicists at some college that I would have never gotten into when I was 18. I can sit and watch one of their YouTube videos and I understand what they're saying. I enjoy that. Do I enjoy knowing the latest dance craze on TikTok? No, I don't. And so people pick what they put their time into. And I would argue that there's no value in putting your time into learning what's new on TikTok, but there's a lot of value in learning how Bitcoin works. Because if you learn how Bitcoin works, you might not be poor in the future.